Everybody at this point knows that the San Antonio Spurs have lucked out into a generational prospect, but what they don't talk about is how interesting this could get, because Victor Wembenyama at 7'5" is one of the most intriguing defensive prospects we have ever seen, and he happens to go to a guy in Greg Popovich that is arguably the greatest coach in NBA history. They also have Devin Vassell, Kelvin Johnson, two other positionless players, and somebody commented on my last Spurs video, Devin Vassell kind of turning into a Kawhi Leonard type mold, which is, I can see that for sure. So make sure to hit the like button, leave me a comment down below, and hit the subscribe button as it really helps out in the YouTube algorithm. Now let's go ahead and get started looking at this franchise-changing move, well, not really move, but franchise-changing luck as they won the tank for Victor Wembenyama. He will be a San Antonio Spur, and Coach Greg Popovich has a new toy to play with, and this could get scary. The defensive upside for this team, for Greg Popovich to play around with, is just off the charts. You look at this, Jeremy Sohan, who was already a unicorn on the defensive side of the ball coming out of college, and then Coach Pop had him for a year, and we're seeing the defensive upside that he has. Devin Vassell, like we said, he's developing. You see it right there. He's got great length, good athleticism. He can shoot the ball. He can do a little bit on offense and a lot on defense. Actually, a little bit more than a little bit. He averaged 18 a game this year. And then Victor Wembenyama, like we said, 7'5". You can't even really put the ball up towards the goal whenever he is near. That is how much he affects the basketball when you're trying to score on him. And then that's not to mention Trey Jones, who is an elite on-the-ball defender. Very good defender. He's a bit undersized, but overall a really good on-the-ball defender and a pretty good point guard as well. This year he averaged 13 points per game, 6.6 assists, and 3.6 rebounds a game for the Spurs. He had a really good year. 46% from the field as well. That's good numbers. Now, 29% from three, 1.6 steals, or 1.6 steals is good. 29% from three, not good. But he can bring that up next year. 29 minutes a game, 1.4 turnovers, and you're looking at a possibility of all four of these guys being in the starting lineup. So the Spurs could very well be one of the best defensive teams in the NBA. Now, we need to talk about this man, Victor Wembenyama, a little bit more. People don't understand how crazy of a prospect he is. There is a chance he would have been taken over LeBron James in the 2003 draft class, or if LeBron was in this draft class. 21 points per game, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks in a professional league as an 18-year-old is absurd. That's like Luka Doncic numbers. It's the best French league, too. It's not some random league that nobody knows about. In 3 years, he could be the best player in the NBA, both offensively and defensively, and there wouldn't really be anything anybody could do to stop him. And this is all under the control of one of the greatest coaches of all time. That is insane. The surrounding core, Kelvin Johnson. This year, he averaged about 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Pretty good numbers. Now, he could be on the way out as, he averaged those numbers, but the Spurs didn't really win many games. 45% from the field, 33% from three. Still not the best shooting splits in the world. 33 minutes a night. We'll see. He's probably going to be asked to take a step down next year, as he is 23 years old. We'll see what happens with the whole Kelvin Johnson situation. That's kind of up in the air for me right now. Devin Vassell, 18.5 points, 4 rebounds, 3.6 assists per game. He's a guy that is, like I said, I'm really looking forward to the development of Devin Vassell this year. 44% from the field, 39% from three, and 1.1 steals per game as well. Overall, pretty good prospect to have around. He's not really a prospect, but still developing. That's why I say prospect. Good defender. He's only going to get better and better as he progresses. I believe he's 23 years old as well. And then a sleeper guy for next year, Malachi Branham, a guy that I really like coming out of Ohio State. He was extremely efficient. This year he averaged 10.2 points per game, 2.7 rebounds, 2.9 assists. He had a pretty good year, pretty good rookie season. Now, not the most efficient in the world, but again, a rookie guard coming into the NBA, you can only expect so much. 44% from the field, which isn't bad. 30% from three is bad in 23 minutes a game, but I expect all the numbers to go up next year as he will be getting more run, more PT. He's a guy that the per 36 numbers were all right. Like I said, he only played in 23 minutes a game, so didn't have the most opportunity in the world, but he's going to be a good rotation piece for them next year in his second year, and expect for that second year leap to come into play. Now, a couple of trade candidates. I'm not sure if they will be traded. Devontae Graham could be the backup point guard for this team. I mean, he's a guy that can shoot the three ball a little bit. He can't really defend anybody, but he can knock down that three ball at a decent clip, and he's a bit undersized. Outside of the three ball, though, he doesn't bring too much to the table. And then Doug McDermott, another guy who outside of the three ball doesn't bring too much to the table and is on somewhat of a larger contract. Both of them are actually. Devontae's is much worse than McDermott's because he still has 2 years after this one. But the cap space is not really an issue right now. We'll take a look at it here. They've got about $50 million in cap room this offseason. Will they spend it all this offseason? I don't know. Maybe they try and go out and get a Jaylen Brown. But Coach Pop is aging, so they probably need to make moves quick to be able to give him good foundational pieces to try and go win his last championship. Lots of assets to do it. If you wanted to go out and try to trade for Jaylen Brown, although reports have come out today, the Celtics are looking to hang on to Jaylen Brown. Maybe you can throw in like 3-4 picks and Kelvin Johnson. I don't know. I'm not sure how that would work out, but as you can see, they have all the picks in the world. That Charlotte pick conveys to next year. They have their own in 2024 as well. And then in 2025, that Chicago pick is protected. I believe the Hornets pick and the Bulls pick will go down to a second-round pick if they do not convey. And then 2026, they have their own in Atlantis, and 2027, they have their own in Atlantis as part of the DeJounte Murray trade. Now, the lineups going forward are as follows. Tre Jones, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sohan, and Victor Wembenyama. Like I said, this is a very, very good defensive lineup. I mean, Tre Jones, really good on-ball defender. Devin Vassell, elite wing defender, and he's still growing and developing on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. Jeremy Sohan, a unicorn, if you will, on defense. Like we talked about, I mean, he can probably defend 1 through 5 and do it efficiently and effectively. And then you also have Victor Wembenyama at 7'5", completely shutting down the paint. I mean, nobody else is going to get anywhere. It's his paint, effectively. But yeah, that's the starting lineup, at least in my opinion, what it should be this year. Going forward to next year, or going forward to the bench, excuse me, it's not going to be as deep. The bench will definitely be the weak point of this team. I throw Ryan Rupert on there because they do have another pick later on in the draft. If they just want to go completely international with their draft, we'll see. But like I said, Devontae Graham and Doug McDermott, if they do stick around, will have big roles on this team. I mean, I know there's a few other guys I'm forgetting that could be getting some rotational minutes. Kenny Bates, Diop 1. But Malachi Branham, I've got him as the backup 3 on this team. We'll see what happens there. I think he's going to have a really nice second year. Devontae Graham, Doug McDermott, though, like I said, could be on the way out. We'll see what happens. And then Zach Collins at the backup 5. We haven't talked about him, but he had a good end of the season once they traded Jakob Poeltl, and I think he's in store for a big year next year. So really, Branham and Collins are going to have to carry this bench unit. But yeah, this franchise has been changed overnight. The tank for Wembenyama, it worked out. It's gonna be a fun time to be a Spurs fan. I mean, you can't say that often, but it's gonna be a fun time to be a Spurs fan. I mean, I know I meant often as in recently. Obviously, they had that dynasty with Tim Duncan and everything, but yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Spurs next year down in the comments below. That's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like button, leave me a comment down below, and hit the subscribe button as it really helps out in the YouTube algorithm. But yeah, the NBA could be scared of this Spurs team with all the defensive potential they have with Greg Popovich.